Well, I'm so grateful to have Lark and Nicole and the choir back after summer break. Thank you so much for settling us in. We gather this morning on the brink of a new congregational year. Some of us come fresh from summer adventures, from wind and waves and sunshine. Some of us come broken down from summer losses, from tears and pain and heartache. Some of us come renewed from summer rest, from peace and solitude and contemplation. Some of us come wearied from summer monotony, from work and heat and sameness. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever gifts and needs you bring today, you are welcome here.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to MVUF. My name is Linda Hayen, and I serve as the board chair this year. We come together in this space of community on the ancestral, spiritual, and contemporary homelands of the Dakota peoples, and endeavor to explore and put into practice what it means to put love as the central force in our lives. This is not working. Sorry. I still haven't quite got this. Yeah, no, I went too far. Also lending help to our service today is Kathleen Coate back in the back doing our tech for us. And thank you. Sorry, I got all screwed up here. Nicole Collins leading music. I'm here now. Sorry. Lark Lewis on piano. And we have Carla and Yamini ushering for us today. Through a vision of and practice of shared ministry, we serve one another and create a space of beloved community where all are welcome. We are so glad you are here and extend a special welcome to those joining us for the first time. We invite you, if you are here in person, to take a green visitor packet home and fill out our visitor form to be informed of upcoming services and events. And people that are online can find that visitor form in the chat or the comment section. Now, I'm going to ask Patrick, who is our chair-elect, and will be your chair next year, to light the chalice for me as we join me in the words for the chalice lighting. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of kindred souls and people. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, and in us, is an invitation to join together. May we tend our fire to comfort those in need, to illuminate the path before us, and to burn eternal as a symbol of love and community. The bell.
Friends, each week we set aside a few moments to lift up the joys and sorrows of those who have gathered here and online. If you're here and in person and you have a joy or sorrow or a concern to share, you can raise your hand. One of the ushers will come along with a microphone. If you're on Zoom, you can share in the chat and we'll read it out loud here. And folks who might be joining us on YouTube, you're not live in the same space with us quite the same way, but you can certainly use the comment chat area there to share amongst those folks, whether you're watching today or 2 years from today. That's how that works on YouTube. It's great. So we're eternal.
Hi, my name is Yamini. So as you all know, I said a few weeks ago I was looking for a job, and I had 3 different interviews this week, and I'm expecting all the 3 I want to come because all the 3 are very different, and then I like all the 3. You know, it'll be a tough one having to choose between all the 3.
Wonderful.
My name's Seth, and my joy today is doing acts of service for this community. It's really uplifting my spirit, and I would encourage all of you to join one of the committees because it feels great. It makes you feel good inside.
Can you
It lifts
stand up while you're
depression.
saying that? We can just skip my sermon now, and there you go.
To say again, working in the shared ministry feels really good and it's rewarding.
Amen.
I'm Karen Olson, and we Olsons like to do things in a lump. So today is our daughter's 49th birthday. Tomorrow is our 52nd wedding anniversary, and then the day after that is our son's 46th birthday. So, as I say, in a lump.
Morning, everyone. I'm Nikki. Some of you know that we have a house on the market. We accepted an offer last week, a really good offer. It's contingent. Hopefully the contingency will come off this week, so all good thoughts that happens and takes care of itself. And obviously there's some grief with the transition as well, but leaning into the joy.
I'm Betty Miller, and I would just like to ask that we have compassion for the young boy in Winder, the 14-year-old boy. He obviously didn't have a good home life, and it's ended in a tragedy right now for him. So I'd like that we hold him in compassion because he certainly needs that. And then my second thing is my granddaughter's mother was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a very serious brain cancer, in July, and she did have surgery, and the surgery went well, and she'll be starting chemo and radiation on Tuesday. And my granddaughter is 16 years old, and she needs her mother, so please hold her in your prayers and thoughts.
Can't feel the same. I lost my mom when I was 11 years old due to breast cancer in 2004.
I'm Kathy. We are going to be great-grandparents again in January. We're welcoming a baby boy, Daryl Winslow Montes Eager.
I'm Jody. I have a couple of joys. I'm a teacher, and the year is off to a good start. I've had my second graders for 3 days, and they were a great 3 days. So looking forward to a good year. I've been teaching a long time. And speaking of school, those of you who know my son Anders, he is off to St. Olaf. We brought him a week ago yesterday, and I don't hear much, which is good. But what I have heard is good, so he's having fun and meeting people and started classes, so things are good. I'm only sad every once in a while.
I'm Alexander Barrett. I got laid off in May this year, and I just signed a job offer on Friday, so I'm finally employed again.
I want to say that Alexander also agreed before the service to be the stewardship committee chair. Isn't that fantastic?
Hi there, my name's Eric, and my wife has been working at Target for quite a number of years, and she has recently found it to be very difficult and annoying and just kind of bad. So, in the past couple of weeks, she's found a new job as a special education paraprofessional, and she'll be on track to eventually become licensed as a teacher. So that is lots of joy there, a little bit of a concern that it's going to be quite a pay cut, but we'll manage. Farmington.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Swinson, and I just want to mention that last Sunday, Lee and I and several others went to an auction dinner at the Danko's house, and it was wonderful. And gosh, I bet you can't wait until the auction comes up again.
And if you have any ideas, you can talk to Leslie, who's on the auction committee.
This is a report for two members that everybody knows, Mary and Marge. Well, Mary's still doing quite well. She's supposed to get some sort of electrical wheelchair somewhere around Christmas. She has a friend coming to visit her today. So she's pretty content where she's at, pretty stable. She's trying her best to use her walker to go from her nice little apartment place to the dining area. They practice that after every meal and before every meal. Marge, on the other hand, she's going to have a back procedure tomorrow, so keep her in your thoughts. They're going to put an electro system in her spine area to help block those pain signals, and it's going to be permanent. Keep her in your thoughts, and stay awesome.
Hi, I'm Carla Reese. I am part of the OWL facilitators who will be teaching 4th through 6th grade, and we are in the midst of it, planning all the...
Sorry, it's okay.
Okay. And I get so excited around this time because we're about to meet all the kids and we're about to start. And if you don't know what OWL is, it's our whole lives. It's a relationship and sexuality program that goes from kindergarten through older adults. And it is the best thing ever. And if you have any questions, Kai is also a facilitator. Maria Bavir is a facilitator. Alicia, she's not here, but she's also a facilitator. But there's other people whose kids have gone through it, who have facilitated it. And it's so incredible and it's so important. And please ask about it and learn about it. It is fantastic.
Thank you, Carla. Kathleen, did you have?
We have a Zoom. Joy. Tom and Eve Bergman celebrated their 56th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. That's amazing. So much to lift up today. Was there anything else here among us? I did want to add, Marcy Lovejoy, who's sitting in the back here, has a visual impairment, and she's recovering from a surgery that will hopefully have more good progress. She's had a little bit of progress, so we're hoping that continues. In the meantime, she could use help with a meal once a week, and I set up a meal train for that. You can find the link for that in the Friday email, those of you that are members. If you're not a member and you'd like to sign up, you can email me, and I'll send you the link. We lift up all the joys and sorrows that have been mentioned here this morning, alongside those that remain in the sanctuary of our hearts. And will you please join in our song response? well, it's a new month. I guess last week you took an offering for this as well, but our Sunday sharing partner this month is You the Vote. Anybody have election anxiety? Yes. You know, whatever the polls are, still have election anxiety. So You the Vote is kind of the You version of getting out the vote, obviously. And normally we focus on community organizations that are closer to home, but right now we know that those battleground states are, you know, there's a lot going on there, right? And so we want to focus some of our efforts on there. This organization is working on the ground in those areas. Some of you may have participated in some postcard work that we did with them last spring through today, I think was the last day for that. You can go to uuthevote.org and find other opportunities. There's calling, there's more postcards, there's all kinds of ways to get involved. And then, of course, we have folks just on the ground there in those states doing work. Yesterday, I saw a colleague post, she was doing volunteer work in election stuff, and somebody who was registered to vote now got unregistered to vote in Georgia. So there are things like that that are happening that people in some of those states really have to stay vigilant because, you know, there's some suppression of voting going on. So this is really important work, and I hope that we can be very generous in our giving this month to help support that and be active with our election anxiety. So will the ushers please come forward to take the offering? Friends, we are so blessed today to be welcoming new members into the fellowship. This is such a joyous part of our Sunday services whenever we get to do it. I call upon these folks, if they're present, to join us up on stage. I know that a couple of them may not be here today. Please come up, Eric Kaufman, Liv Martin, Bobby LaRusso, she's not here today, Hannah Smith, Steve Vincent, and Debbie Harvey. And you can come right up here on the stage so everybody can know who the new folks are.
As chair of the Board of Trustees of this fellowship, we welcome you as new members of our community. You have come to worship, play, work, and grow among us. Ours is a free journey without creeds or prescribed beliefs, and you are free to bring your ideas and beliefs to this congregation as we share the path ahead with you. We invite you to join us in the religious search for meaning and purpose in life, informed by our individual beliefs and the traditions and values of Unitarian Universalism.
This morning, we celebrate and welcome you into this community. Joining Minnesota Valley UU Fellowship means being a part of this gathered community, speaking out on the future of our congregation, offering and receiving gifts of the Spirit, supporting others, and being supported in return. If it is your intention to join us in our work of building a better world through love and service, please respond with, I will. I will. Members of the congregation, if you are a member here, will you please stand? I think we forgot to have a slide for that, so I'm going to feed you these lines. We receive you with open hands and hearts. We receive you with open hands and hearts. As you join us, we once again renew our own commitment to this religious community.
As you join us, we once again renew our own commitment to this religious community.
That was a little bit long, sorry.
You want to take that from the top?
Okay.
It's too long to remember.
Let's do it again. Renew.
As you join us, we once again renew
our own commitment to this religious community.
our own commitment to this religious community.
We are so happy to have you with us.
We are so happy to have you with us.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. As a token of your being a part of the community, I'm going to let them choose, Linda. Please, behind you there are chalices. Please choose a chalice, a symbol of our faith, to take home. Light these when you need them for your own spiritual grounding. Light them when you're joining us on Zoom because you feel like staying in your pajamas and watching the service with hot chocolate, or maybe you're out of town, or maybe you're watching one of those YouTube services 2 years from now. Thank you all so much, and go ahead and have a seat. Fantastic. I also want to say, so if you're thinking, wow, that's cool, and you're like new to this journeying with us, having a meeting with newcomers after about 15 minutes after the service. So go ahead and have a bio break, grab yourself a snack from downstairs, and meet me in the fireside room afterwards. And we're just going to get to know each other better in whatever way that works for you if you're new to this community and you want to learn more about us. We also have somebody else new to welcome today, so I'm going to ask Chad Snyder to come up. All right.
You don't know me yet, don't applaud that.
Yes. Well, we'll start with a good vibe, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right, friends, we have the blessing and honoring of hosting a ministerial intern this year. Chad Snyder will be with us through June as that intern to learn and the practice of parish ministry, to stretch and grow with us, to create space and meaning-making and healing work together, and to answer the call of justice, which calls us to center love in our lives and live out our values in the world. As we assume the mantle of teaching congregation, which is a bit of a new moniker for us, it's up to each of us to offer Chad support and compassion as he grows into the visionary minister that he is called to be. It is up to us to create a safe container where he can succeed and fail, where he can both give and receive in the model of shared ministry that we continually endeavor to create. So, members and friends of the Minnesota Valley UU Fellowship community, those who are members and pledging friends or have a little bit of a relationship with us, will you please rise as you are able and answer these questions that I am about to ask with a resounding "we will." Friends, will you share your time, wisdom, and compassion for the good of Chad's ministerial development? We will. Will you trust yourselves and Chad to engage fully in this internship, which is a new experience for all of us? We will. Will you keep your hearts and minds open to the gifts that he brings to this congregation? We will. You may be seated. Except for anybody who's on the internship committee. Will you please stay standing? Thank you, Internship Committee, for your commitment to journey alongside Chad, supporting him in all of the ways you can to encourage his growth of ministry. Please answer the following questions with an enthusiastic "we will." Will you share your time, wisdom, and compassion for the good of Chad's ministerial development? We will. Will you mentor Chad as he grows into the visionary minister that he is called to be? And will you help us to create a safe container where Chad can succeed and fail, where he is free to create a ministry here among us? We will. You may be seated. Chad, as the now, I guess, senior minister here, I don't like that word senior, but as the more established minister here, your supervisor, I wholeheartedly commit myself to providing good supervision to you in this internship, which will support and encourage you. I promise to share my time and wisdom with you, to mentor you into the visionary minister you are called to be, and in doing so, not only extend my hand of collegiality to you, but also I'll look for opportunities to connect you with other colleagues where it works well. And so on behalf of myself and the rest of staff, if you're staff and you're here, maybe you could stand. We got two staff other here. Maria's downstairs. Maybe she's standing.
Running around a lot.
Yeah,
Pretty good chance.
yeah. On behalf of staff, we promise to create a safe container where you can succeed and fail and where you can create ministry here among and with us. We do all that. Thank you. Chad, we welcome you here among us and invite you to accept the role of ministerial intern that we have offered. As such, we seek that you will share your time and your wisdom and compassion with us as you grow into your ministry.
I will.
Oh, yeah, that was supposed to be a question. Deborah. Will you trust yourself and us to enter into this experience with curiosity and open mind?
I will.
Will you help in creating a safe container where we can succeed and fail as we create our co-ministry here together, where our greatest gifts can meet the world's greatest needs?
I absolutely will.
We have cake downstairs. I just want you to know for all the welcoming
I
things.
was supposed to get a picture with the intern committee before we cut into that cake, so nobody gets cake until the intern committee.
So internship committee members, maybe board chair, I'll try to run down there real quick too. Let us all go downstairs right away after the service, get a picture.
We'll be quick, I promise.
Before the kids.
Don't
eat the
stand
cake.
between you using cake.
Yes. It's a celebration. All right. Your first official duty is to help me with the announcements. Ready? Okay.
Set as I can be.
This month and possibly continuing after that during the social hour, I hope, we're going to have an information community engagement table set up where different entities, committees, groups, what have you, that are promoting events, or maybe they need some volunteers, can just be sitting at that table to give information or get folks involved. That's going to be at the table. So it's right when you come downstairs. If you or your group wants to have space at the table, please let me know, because we'll have different folks in there each week. Oh, at the table today. Oh, you're gonna find, go ahead. That's you.
That's me. So you will also find a sign-up sheet for teaching in the children and youth programs. We need 3 more volunteers. How many of you there are here? We can find 3, right? To make the programming work this year. I have been a UU for 30 years. At least half of that time I have spent teaching. I am where I am today. This doesn't mean you have to be a minister if you teach, but I am where I am today because of the time I spent with children and youth teaching and learning. It is the best. If you would like to explore what it means to be a UU with little UUs, sign up and teach. Maria is looking just for a few volunteers, and she's looking at commitments September to December. It's not even the whole year. So please do sign up. There will be a teacher orientation happening after the service in the conference room today.
That's gonna be about 15 minutes after the service. Again, bio break, grab a snack.
So then you can skip the sign-up sheet and go straight to training.
If you're so committed and so like fired up about it.
And I'm sure she'll take more than 3.
Yes, and I think that, yeah. It's gonna be in the conference room. The teaching orientation will be in the conference room. And by the way, I think it's gonna be, maybe if you volunteer, who's volunteering right now? Is it probably like once or twice a month that you're called upon? It's not every Sunday usually, right?
That's her plan, yes.
Once or twice a month. So that's, I always want to make sure that people know what the ask for time commitment of that is.
And Maria will send you the lesson plan on Wednesday and have materials ready for you on Sunday, so.
And I want to just say, this, first of all, the service is going to run long. I want to say that. Second of all, I want to say that what a gift this is, because, you know, when we think about, I mean, raising our children is all of our jobs, and we're putting out people with our values into the world, which is a good thing. So you're doing that work. It's so important. I can't even say how important it is. Other things that we need to do that we have signups for downstairs, hospitality teams. If you're not on a hospitality team, we'd love you to join. Right now, we have about 37%. Love to get that number up to about 50% of our members and friends on a hospitality team. Then we could create a 7th team, meaning those teams are only in rotation once every 7 weeks. You bring some cupcakes, you say hello to people when they come in. It's a great way to be involved in the fellowship. And also a reminder to get you here at least once every 7 weeks. The Social Action Racial Justice team also has a sign-up sheet down on that table today. So if you just want to get on their email list to be a little more abreast of what's going on with them, you can sign up for that.
We also want to remind you about the service next Sunday, Drop by Drop, Merging Waters. We invite you to bring water from home or from a favorite place that you have visited as we pool ourselves together in this annual water gathering service, which will be celebrated with wonderful music from the choir and an interactive display in the lobby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I realize we have a lot of newer members and new folks here that maybe are new to UUism too. Water gathering is kind of one of our anchor services of the year, a very UU tradition. So bring some water from home. Finally, I want to mention, and Chad, thanks for helping me. You can go ahead and sit back down. David Olson is going to be taking photos of people for our membership database after the service. So this would be great if you could come in or just stay up here afterwards, unless you're on the internship committee and you need to get a picture with the cake. And then we'll have a line up here. Please leave your name tag on if you have it. The picture won't necessarily have your name tag in it because it'll probably just be a like profile picture of your face. But then it makes it a lot easier later when we're trying to sort who's who, you know, and volunteers might be doing that and they might not know who you are. So please do that. Also, I just want to mention another way that you can get your picture in the directory, which we would love, is you can also just send a selfie to Jeannie in the office. Either of those ways work, but we'd love to populate that database with more pictures. Because we're going to launch, hopefully at the end of the month, access to the database to the members for membership, and that way you'll be able to see those people's faces. I really don't want to let questions here, we're running long.
Is this for friends as well as members?
It's really just for members. It's really just the membership, what do you call it, directory.
And Laura, it goes all month.
All month David will be here. So like if today you got to run out, or, you know, you've got one of those committee meetings, or you're on the internship committee, you can catch him late anytime this month. And also, again, you can send a nice selfie of yourself in to Jeannie, and that will work as well. That's what I have for announcements today, which is a lot. Now, turning our thoughts to today's theme. Friends, we have so much to be grateful for as we start this new church year. I mean, we've welcomed Chad and new members already, and this is just our first like official back to church gathering this year. It's fantastic. We have joyfully turned the corner to after pandemic effects, and we're growing as a congregation, which is fantastic. And so as we begin this new church year, I want to talk about the growth that we are experiencing as we lean into the question that we're called to answer, which is, what is love calling us to do? We know that we're growing right now, but are we growing in all the ways that we need to be growing to make that so? So what does it mean to be a growing congregation? Does it mean that we have membership growth? Yes, that's one way to measure growth. We had nearly 15% in membership growth last year, and we just added another 6 this morning, and we're only 2 months into the church year. By the way, this category of membership, so like good growth is 6 to 9%, and we're at 15, so we're like in the like exceptional, excellent, like woohoo area of growth, right? So yay us. So that's one way to measure growth. Does it mean, does growth mean financial growth? Sure, financial growth is great. We need that to keep the lights on, pay our staff, you know, have carpet, have a paved parking lot, all of those kinds of things. Do we have financial growth? Yes. This last May was the first year since 2020 that the membership was able to pass a budget that did not include a deficit or dipping into our savings. That is huge because we were kind of bleeding there for a while and relying on savings and depleted a lot of that. So amazing work that we got back financial, right? So both of those things are good areas of growth. But membership and finance are not the only measures of growth. Those are just numbers, and numbers alone do not provide the kind of growth that we're talking about when you're engaged in a faith community. We practice a faith where we're called to answer the question, what is the most loving thing that we can do right now? And that sounds like an astounding challenge, right? What a vital thing to attempt to do. But it's incredibly needed in this world that calls out for help in so many areas and in so many ways. So how do we rise to that? What other kinds of growth do we need to tend to make sure that we're answering that call over and over and over again? Well, there's quite a few different levels that you can understand congregational growth. So I just want to lay out a couple other types of congregational growth that get talked about in clergy circles. There's organic growth. Lauren Mead is the author of More Than Numbers, The Way That Churches Grow. And Lauren writes that organic growth is the task of building the community, fashioning the organizational structures, developing the practices and processes that result in a dependable, stable network of human relationships in which we can grow and from which we can make a difference, right? That is the kind of space that we're trying to create. It's also, organic growth is also that physical plant of our organization. It's our staff. Do we have enough staff? Those kinds of things are in that organizational growth. Organizational growth is the call to shape congregations to become communities that can generate life and energy. And those of you that have been here through the post-pandemic years and then last year can definitely attest to the fact that we had energy last year. If you were here before last year, you know what the vibe was, which was kind of, oof, right? How long, who else isn't coming back? That was the vibe. Last year, the vibe was like, woohoo, like, right? That we've created that vibe. We had major growth in that area. I lost my spot. I'm trying to skip over some things. I also just want to remark that that type of organic growth also calls us to really live out our mission. So some of the ways that we do that, I want to give some examples of living out our mission. Our mission, by the way, is that we are an inclusive community seeking the light of truth and carrying the fire of commitment to build a better world through love and service. How are we growing in that area? We are an inclusive community. Are we growing in that area? Yes, we have ongoing growth. We are now hybrid, so we reach out to people in so many different ways. And this also includes some of our folks who used to come here regularly in person, who maybe have gotten older and maybe that's not as feasible for them. So we have people that regularly watch on Zoom or YouTube every week, and that's become their new mode of being here. So we're more inclusive that way. We're more inclusive in our pluralistic approach to meeting our members where they are spiritually. Last year, we added a chapter of the UU Christian Fellowship for folks that's important to have space to meet here. We also, the Wiccan Church of Minnesota started renting space here, which is a great foray of our folks, maybe if they're interested in more pagan leaning traditions. We also strive to have representations of other cultures in our music and our messaging. Nicole and I work on that for music and inviting speakers, of different cultural backgrounds where we can. And I also want to hooray us. We did complete all of the things that we needed to do to renew our status as a welcoming congregation. Each year, there's a big list of things that we are supposed to do because this isn't a one and done thing like, oh, we did the quiz and we're done. And so come on in, queer folks. No, we have to do new things every year and lift up new things every year. And that's important because, as we know, ideas about gender and sexuality are always evolving and changing. And so we want to stay open to all of that. The action part of our mission statement is that we seek the light of truth and carry the fire of commitment to build a better world through love and justice. Well, we do this through things like our OWL program that Carla was talking about, which is comprehensive lifelong sexuality education. Right. We do that through our social justice programs, whether that's writing postcards or working on climate stuff. We do that by showing up for Pride. And there are so many other actions that we do that we live out our mission in those ways. Another kind of growth that we might think about is maturational growth. We're talking about spiritual, religious faith maturity here, if you will, folks. This is the ability of a congregation to challenge, support, and encourage each one of its members to grow in the maturity of their faith, whatever that means for them, to deepen their spiritual roots and to broaden their religious imagination. This is all about that new value of pluralism that we've added, right? We're making space for everybody to be here. It's not important that we all share the same whatever label that we put on ourselves, whether we're theists or humanists or atheists or religious naturalists or seekers, or any mix of all of those things. We want to make space for people to in that part here, but we don't want to set ourselves as one or the other, right? This is a really important part of our faith. In fact, I think it's a large reason that most of you probably came here in the first place. I know that's one of the things that drew me to Unitarian Universalism, was that free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So we continue to do that when we do things like starting a UU Christian Fellowship meeting here. And this year, last year they were meeting once a month, but now they're gonna meet every other month this year, because we're also gonna have an Exploring Humanism group that Chad's gonna lead. So those groups will go every other month. So if you wanna learn more about like the actual defined humanism and some humanist thinkers, like we have space for that this year too. So yes, we are growing in that area. And then another measure is incarnational growth. That's the octopus of us. Where are we reaching out? What are we doing in the world? Right? Because if we were just here serving ourselves, that would not make us a very good faith community, right? And we certainly wouldn't be living out our message of building a better world. So what are the good works that we do? Well, we have our Sunday sharing. I want to say about our Sunday sharing. We have fewer members now than we did before the pandemic, but our Sunday sharing is like higher, like a fair amount than it was when we had fewer members. I mean, right now we're at about 80%, huh? Right. We're at about 80%, 86% of where we were before the pandemic. But I would say our Sunday sharing is probably 120 to 150% of where it was when we had, you know, more members. This shows how important this is for us, right? To be engaged in things that we're doing, not just to sit here and talk about it, to talk about the issues that are important, not just to get involved in writing postcards and do things, but also to put our money where our, you know, where our actions are, right? That's an important thing. So that's one of the ways that we do that. And then we also do that like on MLK Sunday when we do a service of service. We do that with our collections for Veep. Again, we do that with our postcard writing. There are many ways that we continue to look for ways to grow in that area. I also want to say some bigger things that we did. We sponsored 2 refugee families, one in 2017 and one in 2013. So some of these things are like, feel big and very meaningful, right? Like 2 families from war-torn countries came here and we helped that happen. And that's amazing. That's amazing when we get to do things like that. All of these ways that we come together to grow together. So the final area of growth that I want to talk about is how are we growing in our connections to the greater UU world, right? Like where do we connect with other congregations, regionally or nationally as things go, related to the Unitarian Universalist Association? You know, one thing that we do is we do rely quite a bit on some of the materials that they give. I mean, Nicole and I use databases through organizations that we're engaged in every week. Maria uses materials every week. OWL is a program that the UUA developed with the United Church of Christ. And then we've also got the way that the denomination is growing itself. Do you have that slide? So remember last year we talked a lot about how we were changing the principles into this new framework. Well, that did happen in June, those of you who took a break over the summer and weren't here. So rather than and I'm not saying the 7 principles kind of exist, they're woven in there if you go on the website and read. But this is the new framework, right? We're putting love at the center of our faith and we have these other values around it. By the way, I just want to give you all a quick sheet. If you're like, I mean, it was really hard to remember the principles except for 1 and 7 and maybe an inkling of what was in the middle, right? This is way easier and I'm going to tell you how. Can pigs fly? Yes, they can if they have jetpacks on. So you need to remember the word jet pig. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. So now when I'm telling people, when they're like, oh, what's Unitarian Universalism? I've never even heard of that. Say, oh, well, instead of putting certain beliefs at the center of our faith, like some faiths do with a prophet or an idea of what God is, we don't do that. We just put love at the center of our faith, and then we come together around these values of justice, you know, and then I'm like jet pig in my head. There may be little songs later to help us with that. Yeah, it's early. It's early in the process here, whether there'll be little songs, but.
Or I think I found my next tattoo.
Jet pig. Oh, it's a cute little thing. A pig with a jetpack on, little goggles, like I've already seen them. So, yeah, it's definitely cute.
Next month.
Yeah. And that certainly the jet pig will be how we launch it with our kids because it's easy for them and they get the cute little pig with a jetpack. But it works for us too. So the denomination itself is growing, right? This is part of our heritage. We are not a denomination that sets a belief system in place and then sticks with it for 2,000 years. That is not what we do, right? We think about what we believe in and we look for ways to enact it. That's what we do, right? And then it changes. And I'm not saying that when that change happens, because there's growing pains, am I right? I'm not saying when that change doesn't happen, it's like, but I love the principles. That's what brought me here. Yeah, and they're woven into those other values. So go on the UUA website and read those things if you're longing for the wording of the principles. It's all in there. We've just changed the framework so that it's a little bit easier for us to explain ourselves to others without saying, and our principles are that we honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person and some other things, and the inherent worth and dignity, or the interdependent web, right? We knew those ones. Am I right? Inherent worth and dignity, interdependent web. We had those. Anybody name any of the ones in between? Free and responsible. Something about democracy, something about peace. Like, that's how it was before. So that's how, because I couldn't remember all those words. I'm the minister, for Pete's sake. So we continue to work on all these things, but this only works when we show up for one another, right? This only works when we say yes to invitation, which is our theme this month. So it happens when we say yes to having a deeper conversation about things that matter to you most. And it happens again when you join here with others to find a way to engage our deepest values, that shared ministry that Seth was talking about earlier. It happens when you say yes to joining a hospitality team, plug, or helping with children's programming, plug, or working on a committee, or even chairing it. Thank you, Alexander. Because that's what it takes to do all this work. So it happens when we say yes to those things. It happens when you realize that any one of those things is not just work that serves others, but that also feeds your soul. And that's what you were talking about, Seth. And that's what you were talking about in teaching, right? You realize that that's not just a service to others, it's a way to deepen your own beliefs. It happens when we show up for one another again and again and again in the ways that we do in each other's deepest times of need, because that is one of the purposes of a community like ours. It happens with invitation, with deep invitation. I'm going to ask you all, didn't you all come here to be invited into something larger than yourselves? Right? There was that invitation. And I'm extending that invitation to you again to reevaluate where you're at with this. How are you living out your values? How are you connecting with others so that you can live out those values in the world around us? Are you in the choir and getting that energy from all the wonderful songs that you sing? Are you on a hospitality team and having the same feeling that you had when you were welcomed here on your first day by extending your hand to somebody else when they come here for their first day? Because I know many of you remember the first person who said hello to you when you were here, when you came the first day, because I hear a lot of you talk about it all the time. And sometimes you mention it to people who were that person, they don't remember it, but you do. Am I right? Steve, who welcomed you when you first got here? Who stands out for you? They're probably not here anymore, but.
Actually, I'm one of those people who doesn't remember.
All right, cancel Steve. Who wants to answer that question? Linda. Betty Gutman. Steve Danko. George Fairman. Barb Gillian, right? Right. all of these people whose names we remember as some of the first people that sat down with us in social hour, who welcomed us when we first got here, who invited us like, oh, well, do you want to come to women's group? Because there's a really interesting speaker that sounds like right up your alley after what you just told me. All of those people who helped make those connections, that's all of you saying yes to your invitation, not just to be invited to things, but to invite others, right? And I want to say this as we close, because there's another thing I'd love for us to work on this year. We love that we have found this faith, do we not? Right? We feel at home here and it's wonderful. And I'm putting you on the spot, how many of you cringe at the thought of talking about that to anybody outside of this building? Because I've talked with some of you and you're like, I don't really want to talk to anybody else about this. And it ends up being like some secret club that people have to find their way here. And then they're congratulated by, oh, you found your way here with a secret pathway to Unitarian Universalism. Nobody knows who we are, right? We're one of the smallest denominations in the country. There are more Rastafarians than there are, I'm not lying. I think there are more Rastafarians than there are Unitarian Universalists. We're small. And there is no reason for us to be small because we have a message that speaks to people, right? We have a message that's about being kind and loving the world. And guess what? You don't have to come here with a certain set of beliefs to get engaged in that message and to get engaged in living out, that call to answer the call of love. So my ask for you is that this year, when you are invited, that you say yes, right? And that you also extend the invitation to others to say yes to love's call in their life, whatever that means for making the world a better place. And maybe that means inviting them here one Sunday too. Okay? Blessed be and amen. Nicole's coming up to lead us in my favorite hymn, just so y'all know. Here we go. Will you please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Just so a reminder, newcomers meeting in the fireside room in about 15 minutes, same in the conference room for teacher orientation, internship, beeline downstairs for a picture with that cake. And I close with these words. This is a quote from Eric Schmidt, who's the former CEO of Google. And he said these words while he was addressing the UC Berkeley graduating class in 2012. Even if it is a bit edgy, a bit out of your comfort zone, saying yes means that you will do something new, meet someone new, and make a difference in your life and likely in the lives of others as well. Yes is what keeps us all young and alive and vital. Yes is a tiny word that can do big things. So say it often. Amen.